Gracefully and Frankly is brought to you by our favorite natural anti-inflammatory, Sierra Sil, capsules, spray, and even pet chews, bless you, that promise you'll feel a difference in your pain management, especially your knees, within 14 days of trying Joint Formula 14. They guarantee it. Money back. Just give it a try. My husband's used it for over 10 years. So have I. Lisa's Derek is noticing a difference in his pain, too.
Absolutely. And if I had joint pain, I'd be all over it. SierraSil.com, Sierra like the mountains, SIL.com, and get 10% off with the code GF.
Welcome to episode 78 of Gracefully and Frankly. It's so good to have you along as we enter a brand new season of summer, my favorite season. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt. Yes, thanks for being here. We can use all the fans we can get. It's warm in here. It's warm.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about something called the Silent Book Club. It sounds counterintuitive, but I love the idea of it. It's great for an introvert.
What about a silent restaurant? Is there such a thing where there's only the sound of chewing and corks popping? Restaurants are so loud, but apparently there's some sort of science behind it for the restaurant's benefit.
Yeah, listen, I have to tell you, I went to a retreat once, and morning and noon, the meals were silent, and all I could do was laugh. I was like a kid in school. I'd hear people crunching and eating, and I was giggling. It's so silly. But yeah, silent dining is a thing, but we just want them to take it down a few notches in restaurants, which makes us sound old, and we're going to look at what's elderly anyway.
Not you or me.
Nope.
And we're going to revisit the Loblaws boycott because it did have an impact despite one of us saying it probably wouldn't. I can't remember which one of us that was. I don't really know. Is that a mirror? Oh.
Yeah, don't make me go back to the tape because we have the technology. I just don't want to.
It was me.
Yeah, it was. We'll have a great show ahead for you today, and we want to thank, of course, not only Sierra Sil, but Envy Pillow. Got an email about Envy Pillow this week.
A wonderful email from Mary, who wanted to know about taking her Envy Pillow on an airplane because she has two of them now. And it's something we've done. So I just told her about, I've got the beautiful silk cover for my travel Envy Pillow. It's got a lovely soft rope handle on it. I sling it over myself and get on the plane. No one has ever said anything about it being an extra item. I have my purse, my carry-on, and my Envy Pillow, and put the pillow either behind me or sit on it because it's so comfortable. And away you go. You're off to your destination with your pillow. In fact, Mary said that she cannot stand the thought of not having it with her on her trips. So that's why she wanted to know. Isn't that great?
It is. It's just that good. Check out more. Find out which pillow is right for you at envypillow.com. Use the code GF to get 10% off. And also that rope could be handy if you don't like the guy in front of you. Just kind of roll over his head and pull it. No, I'm kidding. Never use the rope for that.
It's a waste of silk.
Yes.
So, have you moved to the new place, or do you have like 1 foot in each house?
Still 1 foot in the house, 1 foot in the condo, but we made a big step on the weekend, and I really didn't have a choice because Rob started dismantling the bed. So being the clever animal that I am, I realized, we're going to sleep in the condo tonight. So we did. We've had, 4 nights in the condo now, and we're getting used to it. It's funny how sleeping in a place makes it your own. And then you go, I'm going to move my stuff in here. It's been like living in a hotel.
Oh, yeah. How about the dogs?
They're great. So far, no accidents. They have us trained well to go out in the hall and down the elevator and then down to a nice grassy area that's right there. And it's right on the ocean. It's just amazing. They're doing well. There's a saying that cats know places, but dogs know people. Have you found that with moving, that dogs don't care so much about the place? Or have I got it backwards?
I'm not sure. Miss Sugar, our previous cat, did not care as long as she was with us. But Cuddles is so skittish that it matters a lot. And maybe it depends on the animal.
And the age, right? Because if you have a dog, for example, who is visually impaired, then it's going to be a problem when everything's moved, right? As it would be for a person.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
So what we're trying to do here is stage the house so that it still looks occupied, but I don't have to keep cleaning it every single day and doing something that is extremely weird, and I think of you when I do it, which is vacuuming at night. Now, why would somebody vacuum at night?
And why would you think of me?
Well, because it's weird, and I'm thinking about you not because you're weird, but because I'll tell you about it, and you'll go, okay, that's weird. First off, let me tell you, I won't be vacuuming at night in the condo. We used to live in a building where there was a woman above us who would come home at about 8 at night and wear her little clicky-clacky heels to vacuum. I don't know if she was June Cleaver or, I pictured Melanie Griffith.
Working girl.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Where she was vacuuming without a top on. Because sometimes I will vacuum in my bra if I'm hot or having a hot flash or whatever. And Rob thinks for some reason it's extremely sexy to see his wife even cleaning. But anyway, so what I do is I vacuum at night because I have this vacuum that has a laser light on it. And it picks up the minutia, like any fleck of skin or just the tiniest little bit of fuzz or whatever. It glows. It reminds me of a CSI, right? When they have that thing and they're looking with blue light at all of the
Yes,
blood and stuff.
yes.
So this thing, I'm vacuuming at night because I get everything. But then I start singing Corey Hart. I do my vacuuming at night so I can. So anyway, so I'm out of my mind. I vacuum at night.
There you go.
Yeah.
And here I thought it was about me. It's about you. I get that, though, when you go under the bed or whatever and you can see everything and it's like that's what's living there. So, all right, so you're one and done. The bed's out, so you don't have to keep going back and cleaning. It's not going to interrupt your life constantly. That's awesome.
Oh, but I have a good vacuuming story to tell you, too.
What?
Remember back at Christmas time, I had these little crescent-shaped blue earrings, and I lost one, and you were going to look for one in the gift store in Port Stanley where I bought them. I found it under the bed.
Oh, thank goodness, because they no longer have them, so thank goodness. Yay.
Vacuuming rocks. Oh, my God. What's wrong with me? It's like we're doing a show in the 1950s on an AM station for housewives. Whee!
Makes me think of the psychic we used to call Dr. Hoy. I lost a bracelet 7 years ago, and he'd say, oh, it's in a drawer or whatever. I think the vacuum has replaced the psychic.
When did you ever call a psychic? Was it a radio show?
Yeah, it was. Oh, when I was a kid. Oh, yeah, for sure. Before I decided that they were all charlatans. But fun, and I would never get in the way of someone's fun. A lot of people believe that they are actually seers, and good for you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm right.
Well, our friend Anita MacArthur, does this thing with pendulum, where you ask the pendulum questions and it goes back and forth, yes or no, and it goes in circles and stuff. And whether or not you believe it, she has told me the house will sell in July. Or I asked, will it be June? No. Will it be July? Yes. Very definitively, it does this. And she only does it through people that she knows who have passed. Like, we will ask Lauren these questions. I know it sounds bizarre, but we'll see.
But I would never get in the way of something like that because I don't know. So if it brings you comfort, if you believe it, all those things, good for you because I don't freaking know. Who am I, Queen of the Universe?
You're a Queenager, maybe not Queen of the Universe. And you're also humble enough as Queen of the Universe, Your Majesty, to admit when you're wrong. And I love that about you because we both do. And you wanted to kind of lay it out there when it comes to boycotts.
Well, I didn't think the Loblaws boycott was going to do anything. And if you recall, I did say I hope I'm wrong, and I was, because the woman who launched the boycott got to do a lot of things. Emily Johnson's her name. She met with Burbank, the CEO of Loblaws, And basically, they got to know each other a little bit over coffee. Oh, yeah, and he came into the room and said, Galen Weston says hi.
Speaking of your majesty, yeah.
Right. Kiss the ring. But I think what the boycott did was expand the conversation and make it bigger for everybody, where the grocery store managers could say, okay, these are the things affecting prices. It's not just greed. Although we all know that's part of it. And then the customers who are struggling could say, look, here's what I'm trying to do. Here's what I've got to do it with. And the math just doesn't work. So I really do think it had a big effect. It got the whole country talking about grocery prices. So I was wrong.
Wow.
And good for Emily Johnson for doing this. Yeah.
It's empowering, right? I moved all my prescriptions over from Shoppers Drug Mart to a local pharmacy, like Shoppers is local here in Sydney, but I moved to kind of a mom and pop one. I just thought, why am I doing this? Why am I helping out a company that doesn't need any help when there are so many locals who are trying to make it work?
I haven't been into a Loblaws. I used to go to the superstore in St. Thomas routinely. That was my grocery store. Mama loves her points. And I haven't been in there since the boycott started. And I know that we're into June and, in the second half of June, and I still haven't been in. I've been looking for alternatives, and there's a really beautiful couple of farmers markets outside of our little village, and we have options. And I make a point. The couple that owns this one farmers market bought it from their parents, and now they run it. This is their livelihood. It's like you say, we're not feeding a conglomerate, we're feeding a family. I thank the boycott for that, for reminding us about that. So yeah, well done, everybody who was involved in that.
So Lisa, have you ever belonged to a book club?
Yes, I have.
I have not. So lay out for me how a book club works. And there has to be somebody listening who has also never belonged to a book club. Tell me how it works.
Okay, in the book club I was in, we all agreed on a book, and it was usually something picked from the bestseller list or something that had some buzz. And we all read the book, and then we all got together later over coffee and little sandwiches and talked about the book. It was kind of illuminating. I remember talking about the life of Pi, for example.
Oh, I loved that book.
Isn't it incredible? Yeah. And a bunch of us had never read it, so this was many years ago, and I had a completely different interpretation of the ending than somebody else did. And I remember us looking at each other, not like you're an idiot. It was more like, wow, I didn't look at it that way. And that makes sense, too. That was an unusual book, of course, to choose for book club. So that's how it worked. You all read the same book, and then you came together and discussed it later.
By the way, sidebar, Where the Crawdads Sing is also a book where the ending is so open to interpretation, and it's a movie and it's a book.
Yeah.
If anybody's looking for one that's been published, not just last year, but is still great.
So good. You're right.
So I have heard of this thing thanks to a friend who is fairly new to Vancouver, and he's trying to make some friends, and it's called... Well, have you heard of a silent book club, Lisa?
Oh, Erin.
What?
The first rule of silent book club is you don't talk about silent book club. Oh, that's Fight Club. Sorry, that's Fight Club.
Can you whisper about it? Okay.
Yes. I've never heard of a silent book club, and it doesn't sound like I'd be able to participate. So tell us about it.
Well, first off, if you want more information, you go to silentbook.club. Okay, silentbook.club. And Chris belongs to this book club, and apparently they're all over the place. Here's how it works. His chapter, and it's usually made up of people who are new to the area, okay? So a little bit shy, a little bit introverted. And when they first get there, they spend the first half hour or so, because they're all new, saying, okay, why did you come? What are you looking for? Do you like the venue? Would you like to do them outside? Do you know of coffee houses locally or better places to meet? So it's sort of a, hey, how can we make this better right from the jump? Then everybody introduces themselves, how they found out about it, and what they're reading. People don't all read the same book. Okay, and it can be an ebook, it can be an audiobook, poetry, prose, fiction, nonfiction. It's BYO book. They're calling it the Introvert Happy Hour. So then, once you get there and everybody has their chat, then they all shut down, read their own choice of books, and then for the last half hour, they discuss. Are you enjoying what you're reading? Do you want to kind of give a quick Cole's Notes of what happened in the book? Now, some didn't want to talk about it in case they spoiled it, but then they would have a discussion about the venue again, and if they knew anybody else who might want to join. So what they like about it is there's no pressure of having to have, X number of chapters to read, because we're all busy. Life gets in the way. But generally, it's a great way to meet new people who are also feeling alone in a big city. And to be able to read with people but not having to talk all the time was a nice bonus. They meet once a month and they may make it twice a month. And it's generally younger people. Chris is 41 and he says he was the oldest one there by far, but he really loved it.
I can see when you need to get yourself out to meet people to do it, but I don't know, like at my age, I'm looking at it and how often I read, and I'm thinking, why would I put on pants to go and read with somebody else? But I already know people in my area, so this is a way of making you get out and meet people, right? So I can see how that could work.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. I remember when I moved here 8 years ago from Ontario, moving from Toronto to the Saanich Peninsula in British Columbia. Of course, Rob and I knew no one. There was one woman and her husband who had befriended us. She was a former CHFI listener. You've heard me mention Nancy a million times.
Met her? Yep.
Yep. And my aunt and uncle. And that was it. So she introduced me to Sydney newcomers. And you could only belong for 2 years. But you went and there were sign-up sheets for walks, for cooking, for wine and appy nights. I wanted wine and nappy nights, but no, naps, as in naps, not diapers in England, but whatever. Okay. But there were all these different activities that you could sign up for. And of course, I signed up for all of them. Kidding, I signed up for none of them. There's the introvert. I was so not used to walking into a room and having nobody know my face. And I know that sounds egotistical, but it was always my way of getting over my shyness.
Right.
People would come up to me.
Right. I totally get it.
So I think the book club thing might be a good idea. Now, here's another question. Would it be gauche to introduce your own book? Hey, here's one I think you might like.
Hey, doll, I got a marketing plan for you. You go to silent book clubs with your own book.
Yeah.
Hand one out to everybody. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. How to get disinvited.
Last week, you said you would explain why restaurants are so loud, and I'm holding you to that this week, Erin Davis, because one of my favorite restaurants in London, Ontario, again, was named one of the top restaurants in Canada. It's called Dolcetto. They don't need my mentions. And it is so loud in there, we can hardly hear ourselves think. And yet it's still considered, because the food is so exceptional, one of the best restaurants in Canada. So it's not an accident, and it's not just that they didn't put up padded baffles in the room to absorb the sound.
Well, you're sure not wrong in noticing that restaurants are loud. As a matter of fact, some restaurants and some restaurant reviewers, Lisa, make a point of mentioning how loud it is, even in decibel levels. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Some of the reviewers will say, this is the loudest restaurant I've ever reviewed. You'll need a raised voice for conversation. And it's just insane if you look at the levels and how they compare to like a soccer stadium and that sort of thing.
So why are they doing it then? Why aren't they taking, like, to me as a customer, my thinking is, well, they just don't know. So we've got to tell them there are things they can do about this. Get a sound expert in. But obviously they know every nook and cranny of their restaurant, so they know it's loud.
Yeah, and they know that a solid, smooth, stiff barrier like painted concrete, metal, or glass is going to reflect the most sound back into a room. So it's easy to put in a fix. You use acoustic tiles. You do the things that we do to, like in our case, turn a sauna into a studio. And what noise does to your health as well, if you drink alcohol, it blunts your hearing, especially at lower frequencies. So your brain turns down the volume of most sounds that you're hearing in a restaurant. People tend, believe it or not, to drink more when it's loud. So that's one thing, okay? They're selling more booze.
I think the reason they drink more and the reason they don't notice it is because they become part of the cacophony that's going on because they get louder. Did I ever tell you about the time I was at a nudist colony? Anyway.
She was working there. We should say that. Yeah, and I noticed that with the condo now overlooking the parking lot of 2 restaurants that still close at about 10 p.m. because everything in Sydney closes at 6 or 7. But the Louds who come out, and they're young, and they're all talking like this. And so, the alcohol makes you kind of numb to the sound that you're making. But here's some more science behind it, Lisa. That because it's too loud to talk in the damn restaurant or bar, you just drink more. And so you order more. So in a way, not only does it foment this kind of party atmosphere because everybody's loud and having fun like it's New Year's Eve every night, but it's also adding to their bottom line. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is. I notice I drink more water because my throat gets scratchy because you have to talk louder. And for somebody like me who wears hearing aids, they're just aids. You know, they don't fix everything, so I can adjust them so that I can hear people at the table better. But then the server comes over and they're just out of range, you know, so the loudness is really annoying.
Yep, and it's taxing to our brains. Studies have found that working memory is under high demand when we have to switch our attention from one voice to another in a sea of voices. They also mention people with hearing loss. You have to exert yourself more. People on the autism spectrum have both a higher sensitivity to noise and difficulty filtering background noise from speech.
Right.
And then we come to our favorite thing, which is aging, which plays a role in cognitive processing. And older people find it more difficult to switch attention from one person to another. So it's freaking exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's stressful because noise triggers stress hormones to flood our bodies. So you wonder, why are they doing it? And again, does it come back to they don't want us there, Lisa?
Oh, I can't imagine that. We're spending money.
And one more thing. You don't want to be in a restaurant where you're comparing to rodents, but loud restaurants. At 95 decibels, scientists have observed that people and rodents eat less and consume food faster. Are you trying to get out of there? I know I am.
Well, it is a proven fact that rodents are terrible tippers. So they really ought to do more to keep us coming back and keep us happy. Come on.
Gosh, sometimes we sound old. And we're not. I mean, if you asked me today, how old are you? I think I'm going to say 42 until I'm 82, and then I'll say 70. And we've talked about this before. But how old do you feel? If somebody said to you today, Lisa, don't look in the mirror, don't look at a calendar, how old are you?
53. That's just what comes to mind. 53 wasn't a bad age.
Okay.
Yeah, that was fine.
It was a very good year.
Yeah, but there are so many reasons. Derek and I were talking the other day about these friends who have a 27-year-old daughter and her boyfriend is 27. And we met up with them in Italy. They're fantastic. But how they look at us, like we feel the elder respect from them. Now I look back at my aunts and uncles. I don't know if you do this, but from when I was that age, and I think, oh my goodness, I could have just been relaxed and cool with them and not treated them as old. You know what I mean?
Right. But Lisa, they were old then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It is true. Whether it's kind of settling into your skin because it's getting saggy and comfortable, which it is, they were old then. I have an aunt who I always called our weird aunt, Auntie Panty. She still lives. She's my mother's older sister, but unfortunately, like my dad, dementia. Right. So she was always the cool, weird aunt. And she's the one who took me to my first concert, Engelbert Humperdinck at the Ottawa X, and then took me to see the Osmonds, which, you know, my mom never had time or inclination to do anything like that. No. But she was always really cool. But she was the exception and the one that everybody else in the family at the reunions kind of gave the side eye to.
Right.
Be that one. Right. Be the one who doesn't age gracefully, but ages outrageously.
We had a discussion at 680 News when I was there doing the morning show. When is elderly? because I heard somebody quite young and new on the station on a weekend say a 63-year-old man was elderly.
Oh, good God.
I was outraged, and I was nowhere near 63, but I've never, ever been ageist. So we decided that elderly was 80 because we looked at life expectancy, we looked at all sorts of stuff, and we decided, okay, we're not going to say someone's elderly until 80. But even then, I never felt comfortable calling anyone elderly. My husband's aunt, she was 91 and she was still doing kicks up above her head, and she didn't seem elderly.
Right.
Maybe those words need to go.
Yeah. My Aunt Arlene, my weird aunt, she would still do kicks over her head, but she forgets to wear her underwear, so nobody at the home likes it. Anyway, oh, Auntie Panty.
Maybe she earned the term weird aunt. Oh, my goodness.
Exactly. But you're absolutely right. And to this day, I have a friend, Helen, and I wish she listened to podcasts, but she's of the mindset that, I have trouble with my computer because people are always sending me emails and I get hacked and stuff. And she's right. But even at 92 or 3, which Helen is, she despises the word elderly.
Yeah.
Do not call me elderly. Well, Helen, you're closing in on your 100s, so if not now, when? Well, it's whenever you decide, right?
Yeah, and it was a thing in a newscast where you're trying to be descriptive and not say the person's age over and over, but when it comes to live people, feeling, breathing people, Derek and I call each other junior seniors.
Well, we are too. I mean, that's what we call ourselves because we volunteer. We are junior seniors helping senior seniors. And neither you nor I are 65, so we're not officially seniors. Mind you, we are if they give us discounts, and we're okay with that.
And it's our goal, right? This is what we want to be. It's not anything to fear or loathe. We want to get there, just not in a big rush.
Well, exactly. And you will remember the Toronto Sun used to say, Granny arrested in robbery or something. And it's like, you can be a grandmother at 39. Knock it off.
Yeah.
They all want us to think about Granny Clampett or something pulling off this heist. You know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's just like, stop with the stupid ageism. But then again, it was the Sun. They had their page 3 girl. And a sideline again. Did you ever sit in a studio opposite a male host who would open up and ogle the page 3 girl while you were in the studio with them?
All the time.
Yep,
oh,
me too.
Yeah. And I worked with guys who had skin magazines in our prep cupboard.
What?
Yeah. And I went to our male boss. This was not at 680. And I said, this is inappropriate. This is our shared resource cupboard. And he was like, whatever. So every time the guy would buy one, I would take it to another part of the radio station and bury it in the garbage. And finally it got too expensive and he stopped.
Oh, good. Good times, Lisa. Well, this has been another good time. Thank you. Thank you for episode 78 this week.
Thank you.
Happy summer, by the way. We're at the summer solstice. Days start getting shorter. Debbie Downer. Meh, meh, meh.
How can that happen so fast? Knock it off, universe.
What did you say? What off?
Knock it off.
Oh, thank you.
What did you think I said?
I wasn't sure, but I feel the same way.
Yes.
All right. Goodness. Have a great week, and we will talk to you again. Thank you to NV Pillow, and of course, to Sierra Sill for making this all possible, and to you for listening and for telling your friends, and they'll tell 2 people, and so on, and so on, and so on, and on we go.
And you'll have more manageable hair or your money back.